And I'm going to share my screen. So Des, I've had you unmuted.
Okay, I'll go ahead and mute, and then I'll unmute when you're there.
Gotcha. Okay. All right, all y'all. Thumbs up if you can hear me. Okay. All right, perfect. Thank you. Thank you for hopping on this call midday on a Tuesday. I'm super excited and grateful to be on this call with Des. I've met Des. So I'm Dr. Brett Brimhall. For those of you guys that don't know me, I've been in clinical practice for 20. I've been teaching physicians for the last 25. My dad had been in practice for over 40 years, and we developed what's called the 6 steps to wellness. It's literally how we look at people in a whole perspective. And as I was introduced to this company, I met a group of amazing people. And one of those is Des. She lives up in Casper, Wyoming, a little community, amazing community. She travels and goes all over to take her kids to compete in different events. Super excited to share this Zoom call with her for her to share her story. She is somebody that grew up in a home of wellness and focused on nutrition. She studied pathophysiology in school, which I don't know why would you do that on purpose, like pathobiology. She later went to cosmetology school and did that for 15 years. Later was able to retire that because of Lifevantage. And I'm gonna let her kind of share her story here in a little bit of what that turned into for her. I'm going to share with you guys something that's super passionate in for me because of how toxic the world that we live in. Years ago, I remember reading a book called Tired of Toxic by Dr. Sherry Rogers. And I remember thinking, no wonder I have a hard time helping people get better as toxic as the world that we live in. Little did I know years later of how important that story has become to me, because we're going to talk about a concept of what's called biohacking. So what that is literally tapping into your biology and finding ways to optimize it. Because right now our bodies are being hijacked because of the environment we live in and the stress we're under. My own mom, dad lived to 93. Her mom lived to 97. She's the youngest of 10 kids. She passed away in her early 60s from lung cancer. She never smoked. She never drank. Her biology was hijacked because of environmental pollutants that we didn't even know existed at the time. So this information is for individuals that are looking for things to help their body feel and function better today and improve and protect their body for longevity of tomorrow. This happened with me in this company because I was treating a little boy with autism. He was diagnosed at 2 with that, and this was his test score. You'll see this little graph. He's number 18 at the time. I started working with him when he was 3. I worked with him every week for a year. His life consisted of 35 hours of therapy a week, C&E once a week, which literally took about 2.5 hours of time of his day. And he was doing IV therapies. This was his second year in preschool, right? And here he was, that was his life. And his mom was referred to me by a doctor that I helped train from Iowa. These are his test scores after me working with him for a whole year in his second year in preschool, right? And he was that bottom of that graph. There's like a little notch and then 0 at all. No, this is based on letter recognition and sound. And still he was at the very bottom of this class. This product, the Lifevantage came up with a product called Axio. What it was a nutrigenomic drink designed to address focus. It's literally made for athletes to help them to address the mental fatigue that they have. Little did we know that his mom was at a conference when they were talking about this, and the medical doctor and cardiologist was talking on it. He said, this is truly liquid brain food. We all need to be taking this because the effects of it is cumulative. He started on it 11 days in. He came into my office and he had the best day I had seen him have in over a year. Literally 50% improvement in his behavior and his learning and his verbal skills in 11 days. His ABA therapist, another therapist that worked with him every week for a year, also said the same thing the same week. Like, never thought that was possible. But what that did for me, I realized that I saw this little kid unlock in front of my eyes and say, okay, there's something vastly different about what this product is doing. I need to understand why. So I found myself within a week's notice flying on an airplane to meet the scientists developed the drink, and to meet the people that were sharing this information. So this concept is called nutrigenomics. So it's nutrition and genes and how they interact, right? This is called personalized medicine. So no longer are we going to have to guess if what I'm doing is working. Is we're going to know it activates genetic expression, because what your mom and dad have or didn't have does not mean that's what you're going to get or not get. Of the 10 kids in my mom's family, none of them have lived past 85. That should be a shock to everybody. That should not be happening in the day and age which we live. So we're going to talk about this ability, what you can do now to help your body function better today, but also protect your body for tomorrow if you're looking at prevention. So it's called biohacking and nutrigenomics. But we're going to start by watching an ABC investigative report. There was a group of scientists that had developed a product that were saying it was reducing the aging process by 40% in 30 days. That's what they said. And they said it's happening for all mammals. So ABC investigative report said, we want to do a spot on you guys and see if this is really, really real. So when you watch this, I want you to think about this two things. One, who needs this information if it's really true, and who knows about it? And if there was something, would you want to take it yourself? And then who would you want to share it with? And we'll come back kind of fill in the story of what's happened since that aired. So here we go.
You want to get an edge on turning back the clock with just a few pills? Who doesn't? Well, it's no longer science fiction, but science possibility, a potential breakthrough. As I found out firsthand, there may be a way to erase years, at least inside my body. Granted, it's down the road, but some scientists are wondering if a new pill I took might offer a very long life. It may not look like the fountain of youth, but inside this nondescript building, I'm about to become part of an exciting experiment, a kind of guinea pig. Dr. McCord, okay. I'm here at the University of Colorado in Denver to meet Dr. Joe McCord, a world-renowned scientist. This is pretty exciting stuff you're finding, huh?
It is. We're very excited about it.
His latest research could very well unravel the mystery of aging itself. And his decades of experiments may have the potential of adding years to people's lives and possibly prevent chronic diseases like cancer, diabetes, and heart disease. It all centers around this small yellow pill, and for me, it begins with a blood test.
Yeah, there we go.
It wouldn't be the first time I've given blood for this company. They want to check my levels of something called T-bars, which is a rough indicator of a person's actual age. T-bars can identify a condition known as oxidative stress, a kind of measure of the wear and tear on our bodies. Oxidative stress, like the rusting of an engine, is not a good thing.
Bad for the body,
Leading to disease.
leading to disease and leading to malfunction, and importantly, leading to what we call aging. It is a slow progression of increasing oxidative stress. That's the main characteristic biochemically of the aging process.
The problem of aging begins with the very food we eat to give us energy. As our cells burn that food, they also release toxic chemicals. Those chemicals, you may know them as free radicals, react with all the components of our cells, literally bombarding them millions of times per second, damaging all our cells. The result? Oxidative stress, and we all have it. The body fights back with a system of defenses. It makes two antioxidant enzymes, catalase and SOD, whose job is to gobble up the free radicals before they can harm our cells.
So, doctor, how often do I take these?
And so, here I go. With that swallow, I've just become part of a potentially landmark scientific experiment.
Doesn't taste bad.
It's called Protandim, and tests on both mice and humans have already shown that it revs up the manufacture of those good enzymes in our bodies. More enzymes, fewer free radicals to harm us.
Right now, all we know is that this preparation decreases oxidative stress. Oxidative stress is not a disease, just like aging is not in itself a disease, but it's something that accompanies and is attached to many disease processes. So you can see the age-related.
Normally, oxidative stress, measured by those T-bars, increases with age. But in Dr. McCord's tests, taking just one pill of Protandim a day reversed that trend for everyone at every age, even for an 80-year-old.
They all are reduced to the level of oxidative stress that one would expect, frankly, in a newborn or a very young child.
High oxidative stress is associated with more than aging. It's been linked to hundreds of illnesses.
It's at the very center of many diseases: liver disease, diabetes, emphysema, asthma. I've studied all of these: strokes, heart attacks,
Even mental disease.
yes,
Depression?
Alzheimer's disease, depression.
Dr. James Crapo with the National Jewish Medical Center in Denver is also researching Protandim for the company. But what about my progress? After nearly 2 weeks now, it's time to get my results. Dr. McCord calculates the numbers. The result? My level of oxidative stress has declined dramatically.
45%. That's excellent.
Just look at where I fall on the graph, before and after.
Which, if extrapolated back, is the level you would see in a newborn baby.
Would you suggest I keep taking this supplement?
I would. I can't guarantee it's going to extend your life. I can't guarantee it's going to eliminate any diseases or cure it.
But we do know that oxidative stress is part of those disease process. I don't want to wait until I'm 80 years old and find out that I should have taken it.
Okay, all right, guys. What you just said right there is really the beginning of a new technology that we now understand as nutrigenomics, of taking a complex system and finding ways to activate that. Now, that aired one time on national news. Over $5 million in orders came in of Protandim, MRF2, but most of the orders were unfulfilled because they literally could not manufacture that much stuff, right? So what ended up did happen, so you got somebody that's not unmuted there. So if you are not muted, make sure you mute yourself. I'm not sure who it is. You hear that? Here it is. Okay.
Yeah, I'm hearing that. Thanks, Brett.
Okay. All right. So I got squirreled in my head anyway, guys. So I gotta mute those out. So, so here's what happened. Most of the orders went unfulfilled, but universities from around the world said, we want to study your product because we believe that oxidative stress really related to hundreds of diseases. We wanted to study your product in relationship to them. And so this is a public traded company, a small company. The stock shot way up to $20 a share, but then dropped way down because they couldn't fulfill the orders. But they started doing research, right? The research started coming in, and they hired a consultant, came in. It's like, you know, they basically tried to sell this stuff on shelf of GNC and Rite Aid and other places like that online. But because it was such a unique story, no one knew what it was. They walk in a store, you buy a supplement, which one do you buy? Right? You walk in even today to a store and you buy a vitamin D, and there's literally 20 to 30 bottles of vitamin D, and they're all different priced. They're not the same thing. So what ended up happening as this research began to come in, this consultant comes into the company and said, look, you guys are literally in danger of being delisted off the stock exchange. Like your profits are in the tank, right? He said, you guys have an amazing story to tell. You need to start sharing this to direct sales or network marketing where the story is told. Well, when that occurred, the company went from a $10 million company to over $200 million company, and we're continuing to make that go on the rise. But here's a couple of the studies. I want to fill you in since 2005 what's happened in the research field. The scientists at the end said, look, the guy said, well, it reduced my oxidative stress. And then it helped his cells heal about 40% faster, 45. He's like, well, should I stay on it? Right? And the scientist said, well, I can't tell you it's going to extend your life or prevent or treat anything. And we can't say it can treat or prevent. But let me tell you what some of the research shows. There's actually been studies published in American Heart Association called Circulation, where it showed it reduced fibrosis. A follow-up study in Ohio State showing it reduced fibrosis in cardiovascular grafts, right? So that type of validation where we're having places like Mayo's saying it's validated, or LSU where they did one on melanoma, right? Or drug companies trying to find a way to do what this is doing, huge amounts of validation. Current studies in relationship to cancers and John Hopkins. These are current studies going on. There's a 10-year study that got finished in 2015, which is one that the scientists alluded to, a 10-year study showing that it extends lifespan by an average of 7%. What that means for you and I is 5 human years. But that's not like lifespan, that's what we call health span, right? So in thinking about my mom, she passed away at 60. I would love to have her around 5 more good years, right? So for what that means to me, instead of my oldest being 8 at the time, he would have been 13. 5 more years to influence my family, right? So that's what now I have the potential of doing, is to protect my family from stuff we don't know about and work with things that are currently going on in people in the processes. So this is oxidative stress. Oxidative stress is literally rusting. When you put metal outside and it sits there, it rusts. That's aging. Inside our body, we call it oxidative stress. That happens because we live. If you breathe oxygen, if you live in this environment, right, you have stress, you're having oxidative stress. In medicine, we call it different things based upon where it happens. So if it happens in the joint, we call it arthritis. If it happens in the cardiovascular, the heart system, we call that heart disease. If it happens in the eye, we might call it cataracts or macular degeneration. If it happens in multiple organs, we might call it diabetes or fibromyalgia. So it happens every single place. So the question is, what do we do about it? Like, what options do we have? So what grandma said, eat your fruits and vegetables. Fruits and vegetables have what are called antioxidants in them. So you eat an apple or a blueberry, and it has some things in it the body can then utilize to get rid of the bad guys. So think of it this way. You have a fire going on inside your cell. Somehow you have to get the fire out. So what if your only choice was to take a Dixie cup of water, run over and pour it on there, right? That's the option you have. Well, inside the body is a mechanism known as cell signaling. It's a communication system. So when you activate it, it literally turns a sprinkler system inside your cell, which is what you saw in the video where those things are going around cleaning it up. It's called NRF2 is the protein, and it's NRF2 activation. So literally you're able to quench a million free radicals or bad guys every second, every cell, all day long when it's activated. So it's a much, much more effective way of putting out the fire of inflammation and healing tissue repair when you activate that internal environment. So what's in Protandim? It's 5 natural substances, okay? And you look at the substances, they're not unusual, right? It's turmeric, milk thistle, green tea extract, bacopa, and turmeric, and ashwagandha. All of those are specific herbs that have a specific effect. But what happens when you put them together, they have an 18 times greater effect combined together than they do individually, all right? Now, that's the synergy. Right? And think of it like a lock and a key. There's a key for every car and for every door. But if you don't have the right key, you cannot get in the door. And you can't access what's behind that door. So what we know about this, what we can say FDA allows this because it's been shown in human studies, it reduces that oxidative stress process 40% in 30 days. So what's that mean for you and I? Imagine how you feel when you're stressed. Like, what can you get done, right, compared to when you don't feel stressed? How much clearer do you think? How much better can you focus? How much better do you feel? How much better do you sleep? So imagine that's your cell and you have over 1 trillion of those bad boys, right? So every cell healing 40% faster. What will it fix today? What will it fix tomorrow? And then what will it repair for the future, right? So just imagine making 40% more money, right? What bills would you pay off? Then how much money would you save? And then what vacation would you take? That's your own cellular environment too. It has to fix what it has to first, and then it'll fix what it wants to second. I was in a conversation with an individual the other day. He's a 40-year-old internal medicine doctor. He just got involved with Lifevantage, and we were having a conversation, and he had a massive heart attack at 40. And we were having this conversation. I said, so, because he said, what will people feel? I said, well, what did you feel with the heart attack? He said, nothing till it happened. So when we work off what we feel, it's a little too late, right? So I am grateful to have products that I've always taken, right? But products I now can take that have science behind it showing that I'm activating my natural inborn mechanisms to heal. So, and these certifications you'll see at the bottom, these are certifications that are standards out there, difficult to get, that show what's in it is really in it. And the form you're going to get today is the same you're going to get tomorrow and in years to come, which is what I want. Because I don't want to guess about what I'm putting in me. Right? And unfortunately, even the food you eat, you have to guess about how clean that is sometimes, okay? So here's the bottle of the Protandim, what it looks like. It activates your survival genes. We talked about how it increases lifespan. We've got multiple studies on a website called pubmed.gov. It's literally the world's library for peer-reviewed research, right? Peer-reviewed research is just that. You have multiple people that have to look at it. They have to say the science is good, the study is good, and there's importance and there's a value to it, right? Super hard to do. Of the over 200 different vitamins, minerals, and supplements that my dad's created, I've been part of sharing and teaching for 25 years, 0 of those products have peer-reviewed research on them. It doesn't mean they don't work. It's just we don't have any peer-reviewed science show that that's validated. Very different when it comes to this, because that peer-reviewed science leads to patents on products that allow us to know it's going to be the same every time, and know as if you ever built a business around it, if somebody else can't come and try to manipulate and change it. I don't want to guess, right, if I'm protecting my genes or not. I want to know that I am, and I'm grateful for that process. So this science of NRF2, which is this cell signaling, right, they want to know how big a deal is this key? How big a deal is this key that we have in this cell, like if we can learn to do something with it? So it's the regulator. This key regulates your body detoxification. It regulates your body's cells' ability to protect themselves and regulates inflammation. Okay, so big deal. They say really the common problem associated with all conditions is inflammation, right? So looking at the science of NRF2, Washington State back in 2015 said, hey, we truly believe this. NRF2 may well become the most extraordinary therapeutic and most extraordinary breakthrough in the history of medicine. Think about that phrase. You're talking about a major university that's done a lot of research saying, look, we truly believe that if we can find a way to activate this protein, we can not only do things therapeutically, extraordinarily, and preventatively, but it's the biggest breakthrough in the history of medicine. And I'd have to agree with them on this technology. What I've seen happen in individuals' lives since utilizing this 5 years ago, it's allowed me to tap into the body's inborn, innate ability to heal in ways that I wasn't before. Because we're not guessing if I'm activating a little bit, I'm literally activating it optimally and the way that nature intended it. Okay, but think about that's the technology. What does that mean for the masses when most people don't know about this? And most people, we don't really want to know something until we need to know it, right? It's not until we can't breathe, like when our head under the water, we really want to breathe really bad. But unfortunately, our society is taught to be reactive, right? So we wait to do something until we have a problem. What this is saying in the science, it's not only for therapeutic, hey, someone that needs it today, it's preventatively, which is giant. That's where I'd rather spend my time practicing. So this is something that's really near and dear to me, because when I started getting into this, there's an individual I've been taking care of for over almost, well, at this point, almost 16 years. So she practically raised me. Her first diagnosis was multiple sclerosis. And I remember her coming into me, and I'd worked with her, did everything I can that my dad had taught me and the stuff that I had studied. And she was on 32 supplements a day. And I read this study associated with multiple sclerosis and how this NRF2 outperformed the drug that is the most commonly prescribed medication for multiple sclerosis on the planet. This drug did $12.5 billion in sales last year. It took $1 billion to bring to market. So it's not a little drug. And its claim to fame, it reduces relapse rates in multiple sclerosis by 50%. Well, that means that person might not, if you lose a flare from multiple sclerosis, is losing vision, losing bowel and bladder habits, losing your ability to walk and take care of yourself. And I watched this individual several times have flares because of stressors going on in their life. Things happen with kids, jobs, right? Stressors like that literally threw her over the edge stress-wise. And I remember one time in particular going into a care facility. Her oldest at the time was probably an early teenager. And I went in there to work on her, right? To try to help give her some relief, right? And her kids were taking care of her in this care facility a little bit. And my heart was breaking thinking, what else do I have to offer this lady? She's trusted me with her health and her life and her family, right? And I had done everything I possibly could or knew to do at the time. Okay, so one of the first people that I talked to about this was her, because she also had a daughter, right, who has had severe autism. And she started on this, okay? Here's what the study says about the product. Interestingly, Protandim, a dietary supplement consisting of herbal ingredients, was the most potent inducer and therefore most suited as a therapeutic strategy. So Protandim, NRF2, outperformed the drug BG12 or Tecfidera. And the research was done by the drug company. But what that meant for this individual, this lady I've been taking care of, I've watched what's happened in her body over the last 5 years to put it into her. Her body is now repairing in ways that it never has before, and she's continually getting better. And it's really because that switch that was in her cells the whole time is being activated, and we're not guessing if we're activated. And her body is consistently repairing to where she is now. Her best days in the past were 2.5 hours of good functioning a day. Today, she is in Utah, traveling, getting ready to go what's called Pro 5 Summit, which is a rank. When you hit, you get to go up and get the company help train you. And she's doing a couple meetings this week for another one of my teams up there because she can now function all day long. She saved over $10,000 a year on medical expenses because she's not seeing doctors or having to take medications or even see me hardly at all anymore, because her body is performing as it should because these switches are now being activated. So I'm going to touch on a few different switches that we know about and where you can tap into, because I don't know what's going on in your life, and I don't know what level of things that you are looking for to do, but I want you to know what's available, and then you get to decide at what level you want to tap into your body's potential to heal and repair. So check these things out. This is Axial. This was the drink that caught my eye. Okay, so this is a picture of my nephew's handwriting. So this is a little boy, keep in mind he's 9 at the time, struggling in school, really anxious, has to stay in at research quite commonly because he doesn't get his homework done, can't stay focused. He's also on the playground, not really one that gets played with a lot because he doesn't behave real well, right? This is his handwriting on the left. 1 week into taking the drink, the Axial, the liquid brain drink is what I'm drinking right here, okay? And taking the Pro Tandem NRF2, that was his handwriting on the right. So for me, what I think every time I see this picture is what does that child feel like they're capable of on the left? What type of friend will they choose? What type of careers will they choose based upon how his brain was performing? But once it was activated, what type of decision would this child make now that he's able to go out to recess? He can focus longer. He can regulate much better. Where he gets upset, he can regulate down much quicker. That's what these products have allowed me to do in people's life, that literally are ones that I've spent, in this case, tens of thousands of dollars to buying equipment to try to help him. So I want to introduce you to the technology of nutrigenomics and the products that are tied to it, and where the company is going in the future and how that's impacted Desiree's life here in just a second. So here's NRF1. There's another switch that controls the inner production of your cell. It's called the mitochondria. That's the producer. NRF1 is the switch. This thing literally allows your body to help your body's organelles make energy, but also it helps protect the genes by which your body makes new mitochondria. It's 5 plant substances put together, okay, in a synergistic fashion. Again, same idea, right? It is about the ingredients, but it's also about the ratios of ingredients and how you put them together that matter, allow the cell to perform. But if they don't, if your mitochondria do not work well, look at that slide on the right. Every time I see that, I'm like, okay, these are the things that doctors don't want to see, because these are degenerative processes that when we see those, they're hard to treat or manage. And the reason being is that most medicine, we're treating symptoms, not systems. So when you look at this, we're able to work with systems. We're able to improve the energy production system and improve with the NRF1, improve the detoxification system with NRF2. I love that we're focused on systems because we do that. The reason why people don't feel good today and function good today is literally because systems are struggling. So when you address the system, the symptoms can change. Okay, there's a probio, okay, a probiotic. Everybody needs them, but then what's the difference between this one? Most probiotics, you literally lose 90% of them as you go through your body to go through the digestive process. With this one, you're really getting 60% more effectiveness because you're not losing it to that digestive tract. The technology, again, back to that technology, BioTrack, time-release technology, and a little capsule pearl, and because of that, it breaks down slowly through the whole intestinal tract. Now, what that means is the digestive tract can work more efficiently. Not only can it digest, it can then assimilate and get rid of the things it's supposed to, right, from top to bottom. Now, that's critical because in that system is your body breaking down the materials to then use it to build new things and eliminate the waste product. There's your immune system. So the company made a brilliant decision. They put in what's called well immune, which is a beta-glucan. What that means is it helps your immune system regulate. Not too hot, not too cold like the porridge, but just right. You want the immune system to function optimally, not overactivate like an allergy or autoimmune system would be, or underactivate, like where we're sick all the time. And to put in that timeless technology where it literally gets where it's supposed to was brilliant. Okay, because if you don't, look at all the things that can happen when your gut and immune system dysfunction. I was using 3 products to do what this one did, right? And this was much, much cheaper. An omega-3 fatty acid. If you're not on omega-3 fatty acids, you're deficient. All right, and I have yet to see somebody come into my office and done lab work on them and seen them have a normal omega-3 level yet that was not on a fish oil, right? It may happen, I just haven't seen it yet, and that I've done thousands by this point in time. So I love this Omega Plus. I can take this bottle, I can trace it back to the boat where it was caught. So I know the water is pure, I know that this is sustainable. So I'm gonna be able to get that product again each month, because I want fresh sushi if I'm gonna eat it, and I want my omega-3 fatty acids to be fresh, right? Because it can be part of my membrane, because those actually what control your hormones, your brain development, your skin, and your eyes. Super important. And this one has new technology, omega-7, which is new research that ties into metabolism. Okay, that's what's called the Vitality Stack. It's literally this little packet right here. Guys, that's what each of me and my kids each day, because in that packet, guess what? There's your omega-3 fatty acids with vitamin D, my NRF1, NRF2, so energy production, cell repair, and my immune system, digestive health. And it's a thing I can hand each of my kids. And by the way, my daughter this morning didn't take hers. So I know because it was at the chair that she was sitting by. So guess what she gets to take tonight, right? I know it's kind of funny, but I like that as a parent because we're busy. And I love that I can take this technology and know with my kids, like, look, this is what we can do to help your body perform better today. Well, the company said, look, are there other unique industries out there that this technology could be applied to? Well, one of the LSU study was on skin cancer, specifically melanoma, and saw a significant reduction in that with the protandim NRF2. So they applied it into skin care. So there's the true science. And I love, love, love. You look at this picture here of the difference in how she looks and how it protects your skin. So your skin is an organ just like your intestinal tract. And it's super important to keep that healthy and protected, not only so you can not get things that you don't want, but you can age gracefully. I have not really used shaving cream in over 5 years, almost 5 years now, because I've been utilizing this, and I love how my skin feels and how it functions. Huge. Okay, they're the hair care system, so NR technology for hair. Look at the picture along the right. For years, women would come in all the time, want to think that, so very common says, my hair breaks a lot, I'm losing my hair. Well, some of the most toxic stuff we put on our body is in our hair products. And there's, as you know, if you've ever had a cut on your head, it bleeds way more because there's more vascular on your head than anywhere else. It's also where we absorb a bulk of our toxins. So if you're curious, there's an app called Think Dirty. That app, you can look up the products you're currently using, you just scan it to see how toxic it is. I love that Lifevantage created a hair care product that we can utilize to deal with that. Okay, they're the pet tandem. So think of pro tandem, but for dogs. And there's really cool videos and stuff you can look at there on YouTube where you can see the difference in dogs, cats, horses, cows, other mammals. So this works as long as you're a mammal, right? So if you're not a mammal, I don't know what to tell you. You're an alien, but you only live in Wyoming. No, just kidding. They're in the physique weight management system. And I love the weight management system because it's not weight loss, it's weight management. Because the last thing you want to do is lose weight and gain it back again. So it's really about improving metabolism. So when you improve metabolism, you have to heal the gut. That's why the prebiotics there, which is the natural fiber and stuff. It's really the fertilizer for the good bacteria to live there, and also the fiber to get rid of the yeast, fungus, and mold. And then you have a fat burn you take once a day that's all natural that really burns fat all day long genetically through the abdominal tissue, and then a protein, right? Super clean protein, so that when you lose fat, you replace it with muscle. So if that's something you're looking for, I'm glad that the company produced one that's there because it's a huge need. But a lot of the ones out there literally aren't technology based nor nutrigenomic based, and this one is. Okay, so when you look at that, that's literally all the products, right? So why in the world are Des and I having this conversation with you? One, for me personally, when I saw what I saw with that little boy, and the oath that I took when I came into practice is that, to me, I owed for others what I learned. Like that was something that I took an oath on. It's something I've been taught my whole life, is you share those things that can help other people. So I was going to share that with the patients. Now, I didn't know it would turn into a significant part of what I would do in my life until several things happened. Storms, okay? We call them, one thing I call them is a spiritual storm. So I see this little boy have massive changes that I've never seen happen before. I'm watching patients of mine get better that I've worked with for over a decade. I'm teaching for a company with my dad, a nutrition company, and they let him go without notice, so his income goes away overnight. right? So always my plan B was to go teach physicians. Then around the same time, all within 6 weeks, guys, I break my knee playing basketball, right? So the first time in my life, as I'm hobbling around on a broken knee for over 2 weeks, not taking a single day off, I thought, what if I could not practice? So all of that led me to look at this business and what it could do for me and my family. And so grateful that it's allowed me to impact more lives. And one of the people I've got to meet along this journey is Deb. And we were talking a couple of times with us last year about connecting and doing this, because her story, guys, is so powerful to me, because I see it happen every day. It's expensive to be sick. It's expensive when you have major health issues, and then you have other unexpected things that happen in life. And we've been talking for a while about having this conversation. I am so grateful that you get to hear, because she has a phenomenal passion for people. She has a phenomenal love for God and for people. And I'm so excited for you to share with people not only what you've seen in these products with your family, but what the business has allowed you to do because of digging that well and building that business before you needed it. So please, 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 I'd love you to share your story and kind of fill us in on the timing of what we have.
Well, thank you, Dr. Brett. Can you hear me okay? Okay, well, perfect. Well, this is a huge honor, because I look up to Dr. Brimhall. He has been a huge mentor to me over these past few years with everything, with my son's health, with my own health. And so I'm beyond thankful that I know about Lifevantage, these products, this company, the people. I say, God, there's no such thing as coincidences with God. He just has, kind of like Dr. Brimhall was saying, like when you have these storms in your life, he's already put these things in place to help us through them. It's just, we don't always understand it at the timing of it all. So for me, I was introduced to Lifevantage about 7 years ago by some wonderful friends, Sean and Michelle Poe, who I grew up with. And, kind of my backstory a little bit. I was sick a lot. I grew up with a mom who was really smart about health and wellness, but I was sick a lot. I had, the gut problems. I had headaches. I was kind of that sick person that always caught everything. And I had allergies. I had sinus infections. I had all kinds of brain fog, memory issues. And it was strange, because I remember thinking, like, I'm the healthy person. And so why am I always sick? So I never knew what was going on with me, but I was always really intrigued by prevention, health, and wellness. I was so grateful that my mom had introduced me to a love for health at a young age when I was in high school. And so I remember being drawn to the healthy choice, or trying to work out or to take care of myself, but I was still always really sick. So when I was introduced to these products, and specifically Protandim NRF2, I was totally intrigued by what I saw, because I thought, why is everything I'm doing not really helping me, and I'm still sick? And so I thought, for me personally, what do I have to lose but to try this? Because I saw that science. I love science, and I saw that activation of the body. And so I thought, what if this could help me with some of my symptoms that I had been experiencing pretty much my whole entire life? So I started taking these products. And when I joined this business, I did not join this for the business. I'm always really honest about that. I literally saw a product that could potentially help me. And I had family members who had all kinds of other health things going on. So I thought, okay, this is totally outside my comfort zone. I'm going to look at this. I'm going to share this, and I'm going to put this in my body. And it was one of those things that I had no idea at that time how big of a deal it really was in my life. So I fast forward about 2 years later. During those 2 years, I started seeing not only my own health, it ends up that I have Lyme disease, and I had no idea that my whole life, this is what had been causing every system in my body to not function properly. Lyme disease is one of those things that's probably the most underdiagnosed disease out there right now. It's the grand mimicker of all different kinds of autoimmune diseases. And I had no idea that that's what had been causing all of these symptoms. Well, personally, my story, Protandim itself, started changing how I was feeling. It was changing things in my body. And I'm not claiming that it cured me of Lyme disease, But what it did do is that it started getting my body to work optimally, and it started to heal itself. And so I started having these life-changing things happen. So gradually with that, what do you do when something excites you? You start sharing it. And so I started sharing it with people around me because I felt like this was a God gift, and I had to share this with other people, because even though I was still struggling with some symptoms, my quality of life changed within weeks of putting this in my body because of what God already made our bodies so smart. It's just give it what it needs to heal. And so for me, as I started sharing that, I didn't know how big the business part would be in my life, because 2 years later, my son, who was 7 at the time, was diagnosed with AML leukemia. And still at this time, I didn't even know what my diagnosis was. But all of a sudden, my life got turned upside down, and I ended up having to leave my home in Wyoming. I quit my job completely. I just did Lifevantage and walked away from my life as I knew it. And I ended up moving to Colorado for 7 months while my son underwent treatment at the Children's Hospital in Aurora, Colorado. And the first part of God bringing this into my life was for my health. I know that for sure. The second part was because this job allowed me, and it's not a job. I tell people all the time, I just get to share information and my passion about people and these products. But what it allowed me to do was to spend 6 months. I didn't work a day in 6 months. And I kept getting this, what we call residual income, over and over again. I was paid every week for 6 months, and I didn't do anything. And I thank God every day that I did share this passion that I had for these products for those 2 years before, because I had no idea the expense that it was going to cost for my son, because I didn't want just the sick care, like Dr. Brimhall was saying. I wanted to get his body working better. So first thing I did was get Protandim in his body immediately. And I did get it approved through the hospital, which was huge. When Dr. Brimhall was talking about, the efficacy and the purity and the great things behind these products, if it's good enough for my son during chemotherapy, then to me, that spoke volumes of how big this really was. So that was my first thing, was I had to get it in his body. But the next thing is I wanted to spend money on functional medicine and things that traditional healthcare is not going to pay for. Not only was I not working, but I was also trying to spend hundreds of dollars a month on other doctors that I was introduced to that I knew could give his body the optimal health recovery fight against cancer. For any of you who have ever been sick yourselves or who have had a sick child, you know that you're willing to do anything and everything and spend whatever you have on that person to get them better. And so that financial piece gave me a freedom of residual income that I was getting paid every week and I didn't do anything. I just dug that well before I knew I needed it. And so I remember my story starting, during his treatment and during his diagnosis. And during that time, the people of Lifevantage continued to pray for my son, support our family, give me more help as far as what other things could I do for him as far as treatment that I was not going to get from traditional healthcare. And so I fast forward about a year later after I got back from his treatment, and that's when I was diagnosed with Lyme. This was another hard hit. I'm not going to lie. It was a year to the day that he was diagnosed that I was diagnosed with Lyme. And this was a diagnosis that came, and I thought, okay, God, this has been too much. This last year has been more than I could handle. But I always say, God gives you those storms in your life to make your story, to make you, and to help share that with others. And so during my struggle with Lyme disease, this job and this income allowed me, for those of you who know much about Lyme or who struggle with Lyme yourself, it is probably one of the most expensive diseases out there right now, because there is not an insurance company that is going to cover any Lyme disease treatment. They will cover only IV antibiotics, but we know IV antibiotics are not the answer to healing the gut, to healing the systems. And so I knew that was not the route I wanted to go. And so during this time, I continued to share these products. And what this allowed me to do was on those days where I was sick, I was able to be at home. I didn't have to worry about going to a job. I didn't have to worry about what it was going to cost me for these treatments. I was lucky enough, and I'm really honest about this, that I was spending thousands of dollars a month trying to get cured or treatment for Lyme. And what I ended up doing is not only did I travel 3 years ago to Germany for treatment for 20 days, but I've also been able to go to one of the top Lyme doctors in Idaho since then to help get rid of more of the symptoms that I was dealing with. And between Protandim and this business and these products, my life would look astronomically different than it does right now if I would not have said yes to sharing this information and to putting these products in my body. Because when I think about what my life would have been without Lifevantage, it does make me really emotional, because I think it would be so different. My health would be different. My son's health would be different. My financial situation would be different. And, you know, a lot of times I'm honest in that, saying I probably still spend over $1,000 a month on functional medicine for my family. And that sounds absolutely crazy to probably most of you on here. But like I said, when you're sick, or when your son is sick, or another family member, you'll spend whatever it takes to have that quality of life, like Dr. Brimhall was saying. Who wants to live longer if you don't feel well? And so, you know, these products, not only with my son, have been huge in his recovery, I believe, and in my own recovery. And what it's allowed me to do is, this is what I get to do for a living now. I get to share my passion. I get to help other people with Lyme. That is my passion right now, is to reach out to people who are not being diagnosed with this awful disease, to help them, to give them hope, to let them know that there are ways of living that are not just a traditional job that you're having to go to every day and be sick and not be able to afford what you need in order to get healthy again. And so I'm more passionate about this business and these products than I probably have ever been, because I had no idea 7 years ago what was being gifted to me. This is a chance of a lifetime opportunity to share products that are life-changing, a business opportunity that is life-changing. So when I looked at, you know, this curve right here that you see 7 years ago, I didn't understand how big of a deal it was to know about something before the rest of the world knew about it. And, you know, right now with Lifevantage and these products, it's something that the majority of the world has no idea about NRF2 activation. They have no idea about biohacking, like Dr. Brimhall was talking about. They have no idea how activating the body is, how big it's going to be in medicine. I mean, there's a lot of research going on right now, and I believe that shift is happening in healthcare, even from going from, like we said, acute care and reactive care to let's prevent, let's stop just reacting. And so what this is showing here is that, you know, the majority of the world don't know about this product or this company. And so if you can get in before it reaches what we call this momentum stage, and this is what my good friend Sean Poe told me, is that, Des, you have no idea how big this is going to be. And so now 7 years later, I see that from a health standpoint and financial, it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And so, you know, I am beyond blessed. I would not be where I am today. And so I'm beyond grateful and thankful to Lifevantage and the people of Lifevantage for giving me a gift in so many realms of my life. So with that, Dr. Brimhall, I can let you, if you would like to kind of wrap up that. So thanks for your time, everyone. I know that we've taken the whole lunch hour for you. So, oh, you're still muted, Dr. Brimhall.
Well, good. My kids wish they could mute me sometimes, right? That can't happen. Des, thank you for sharing your story. And it means so much. I've seen people like literally I've seen people lose their health trying to get their wealth, and then they have to spend their wealth to get their health back. I've watched that time and time again throughout my practice, and it's just unique to have this where we can do both. We can help people regain their health while building wealth, right? It's just a very unique part of that. So, guys, we appreciate you being on the call today and just taking a look at this. So just know what I love about this company. If somebody wants to be a customer, great, right? When you came into my practice in the past, I buy products wholesale, I'd sell at retail. Here, whether you're a customer or a distributor, the products are exactly the same. I don't know what you're most interested in, right? But these are all the products the company has. There is one that's going to be launched actually in 2 weeks called the Super 7 for right now, but it's literally a game changer in my mind, will be as big as the NRF2. From what I've learned about the research and stuff behind it and what I'm seeing happen with the technology and the pathways, makes me super excited for another opportunity that we can hack into our bodies of biology naturally and help it handle the environment we're dealing with. So when you look at these products, just say, as whoever invited you, like just let them know, hey, I'd like to take this product, or I'd like to be able to utilize this for me and my family. Just let them know where you're at. But if you're interested, like you want it, like with Des, you saw the science, you wanted to share this information at whatever level that is, and you have some questions on maybe this is something you can do as a business and it's part-time. That's how I started. Just let us know, and we're happy to help you with whatever level that is. You make money with this by sharing the information. You're not limited to who you are, what you know, your degree, or anything else like that. It's literally, you just take the system and you run with those that you're with. And the harder you work, the more people you can impact. And you're really at the beginning. Like what Des said at the beginning, you're literally at the beginning of this technology. We know when it comes to research and science that medicine is about 17 years behind research. That video you saw was aired in 2005. We're not even to that 17-year mark to where things that we are knowing in science is used in clinical practice. We're beginning stages of that, which excites me because we need this information now. But if it's something you're looking for a part-time thing or something you want to replace an income with, it can go either direction. People always ask me, is it worth your time? I don't know how much your time is worth. But what I do know about this is like what you said, Des, is that these is a publicly traded company. So I love that it's that way because it can't just change overnight. There's things that have to be in check for it to be publicly traded, and we can see what's going on behind the scenes. This is the ranks in the companies based upon the volume that goes to your group. So a Pro 3 is somebody that's got 5,000 in volume going through your group. So that's an extra $636 a month of residual income. And what that means to you is most of us know what a residual bill is. Like we have a car or we have a house. So in order to keep that car and house, we have to pay for it, right? And that's called the residual bill. It shows up whether you want it to or not, right? Residual money is the opposite. And most people do that through, hopefully over years, they work hard enough and then they have Social Security, right? That's your residual check of working for 40 plus years. And the average is $1,300. That's the average Social Security check in the United States right now, right? That's kind of scary in my mind, right? My father-in-law was a paramedic, firefighter for 21 years. His pension is about $3,500 a month, right? So a Pro 5 is somebody that is someone that's generating 20,000 volume through their group. That's about just a little less than that. My father's final pension that basically ran into fires for 21 plus years. Okay, Des is a Pro 6 with the company, right? Been involved for 7 years. So, and that's residual money. So when she was not working for those 7 months, where she could literally be with her son, I think how priceless that was. Like my mom was going through cancer and I had to work. I wasn't with her by her bed. My sister wasn't working, so she was there, so she was able to have that extra time with her, right? And because that's most of us, right? And to be able to have an income that was separate from your time, what a blessing that was for you and your son, right? And still to this day, I'm a Pro 7 with the company. Average Pro 7 is just over 12,000. What that's allowed for me to do is to take my dad practiced for 30 years. I graduated and he left. So I was his retirement plan. So grateful I was able to buy his practice, but I was able to take my practice that was really his practice and really sell that 12 years sooner so that I could spend more time doing this and still spend a few days a week practicing and treating patients the way I want, but not worrying about the stress and overhead that he had to deal with and I had for years. So if you look at this, the individual, both of us, both Des and I know, Carrie Williams, she's a Pro 9 with the company, making well over $48,000 a year. A month, a month residually. So it's just better what level of impact you want to have in the world. So guys, I appreciate you being on the call. You're early to the party. Please, I'm grateful that some people on here and some people on here that really were just to learn about the product, because I want people to understand what we have our hands on is light years ahead of what we know is out there. And I want people to get the benefit because the effects of stress are cumulative. The effects of these things in your body are cumulative. And so just get back with who invited you, let them know where you're at. These products, get them in your body, utilize them. But if you're thinking, I have some questions in relation to the business, get back with us and let's make it happen. Des, thank you for taking the time for being with me today and doing this. Now we kind of talked about doing it for a while. Been a blessing. I loved hearing your story because I can see people's lives that have gone through the same way, and to know that we have an opportunity and a blessing to you to take what you've gone through, difficulty with the Lions, and to share that with the world so that other people don't have to struggle as long as you have, is the same thing that I want to do when it comes to what we have as product. So thank you for taking the time.
Well, thank you so much. I loved it. Like I said, thanks for everything you do for all of us. So thanks everyone for listening in as well. So
you guys have a great day, and we'll have this recording, and just if you have questions, reach out to us later. I'm going to stop the recording now. Okay. Thanks, Des.
thanks.